Welcome back to another episode of the Cousin Cecil Show. I'm your host, Mike Fowler. I know it's been almost a month, probably a little bit more than a month. It's been quite some time, but this that's how life goes. More looking forward to this is because I am also not alone. I also have a guest, and I am pleased to welcome obviously Lunchbox from the Stay Crunchy and Milk podcast. And I'm more funny because I was like, oh, good, maybe he'll have his name on the Zoom call. But no, yes, because I was like, if someone had to put a gun to my head and say, what's Lunchbox's real name? I'm like, I think it starts with a D.
You got the right letter.
I think it's Dan.
You nailed it.
Okay. No, I mean, like, I've heard it, but also, like, it's like that, like, say it. I'm like, I just don't.
Yeah, like on social media, I write my name as Lunchbox on everything. Like, even if you go to my Twitter, like, my handle is Lunchbox2099, but then it says my name is Lunchbox. So
I'm pretty confident the only reason why I know it is because obviously Ant slips and he'll just say your name and not Lunchbox on the show.
I mean, it's not like it's like a secret or anything like that.
Says the guy with genital warts as his name for Zoom. Okay.
I just like I like doing little funny names when we join like the Zoom calls or I forget what the program is, like the service we use for recording now, but I always type something creative and funny every week, try to spice up a little bit.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And then obviously please tell everybody, so obviously tell Shelby and Delvin who you are, if you want to more elaborate what Stay Crunchy and Milk is and all that fun jazz.
Stay Crunchy and Milk is a podcast that me and some buddies started. Actually, just celebrated our 9-year anniversary. We all work together, and we used to go to lunch together every day back before we all started working from home. And we would have these like fun, nerdy, just wacky conversations on lunch. We were like, man, it'd be really cool if we just recorded this and put it out for everyone else to enjoy. And that's where it started. And over the years, it's evolved with, recording different ways, different days, different times, people getting kids and, just evolving with the times. It's kind of at this point become more of like a time capsule of our growth as people, more so than like a show for entertainment.
Yeah. More also congratulations to you guys for getting up to 9 years. That's a lot. And obviously congrats.
Appreciate that. It's amazing, like just how quickly it all blurs by. And then we've managed to outlive some pretty successful podcasts, apparently. Like T, who hosts our show, just told me the other day that some show he listens to that like lasted 7.5 years just recently closed up shop. So I was like, all right, man, we outlived another one.
Well, hey, people who listen to this show probably thought you guys were going to outlive it, since obviously it's been a month since my last post of a episode. But yeah, also like elevator pitch. It's basically these guys, their lunch break, basic conversations, all recorded now, and now it's like you said, a time capsule of what basically is. It's just it's a podcast of the friendship between you four. Yeah. There was another one, but obviously it's the four of you: T, ODP, and then Anthony, and obviously you. And no, obviously it's a very fun podcast to listen to. Obviously you now are into like the idea, like you said, you have children been born, you have T's kids are graduating school. And it's you've been also and then you have been digging up and collecting your childhood.
Yeah, I literally so Saturday I went to like the big flea market in our area, and when I came home I had a box waiting for me on the porch, and it was a Ghostbusters lot that I had bought. It had the original Proton Pack in it, the Ghost Trap, two of the different guns, because they had like the Ghost Popper. And then they had the one where like it spun the foam, and it actually had the original foam stick with it to put in there for the spinning. It had the how they would sell those action figure boxes when we were kids. Like they would fold over and like had the little latch on it with the artwork on them.
Yeah, I think so. Of like
Yeah,
what you
yeah, like they I don't know what they were specifically called, but they were like action figure cases. It had one of those, came with a couple of action figures. Um, yeah, man, and I know you and I have both been big on Whatnot. I've actually taken like a little bit of a break this past week because I was getting a little too spend happy. But that's where like a lot of it rejuvenated my love for action figure collecting.
uh well, I am just basically collecting what my wreckage I did last week. I just out of nowhere I dropped like, just $50, but obviously when you think I'm like, oh, $50 and it's like, oh wow, I got 5 comic books. I'm like, ooh, that's not a pretty sight to sound. Like, oh yeah, I spent 50 for 5 comics. That should be like, 10, maybe 15. But I said in my little group chat with them, Chalfie, Delvin, and T. I said I've had the luck of Lunchbox, and I won my first ever giveaways, like the night that started like the catalyst of like I'm spending money.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, I won 3 giveaways that night.
Nice.
And that's a real addicting thing too. Like this, because I'm like, this is it. Why is this happening now? I'm like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I've actually got one right here that I won recently. Is a 2002 Mewtwo Pokemon box topper. I won this from the actual Whatnot company. Like they did like their own live stream, and I managed to win that thing. Apparently, that thing's worth like $400 or $500.
That's more crazy. I wish, what is it? If I went to any other Whatnot auction besides comic books, I'd probably look funny in my house. And you're like, why are you looking at, like, why are you getting these? You don't need these. But also, I like just going and snooping for those giveaways. But yeah, comics has been definitely my kryptonite of getting stuff. This ain't the one I got, but somebody was giving away another polybag X Force #1. And
So I opened a box today from stuff that I bought off Whatnot. It was comic books, and I got one of these.
Oh, okay, you got the same one, but
Yeah.
What are the cards you got in the back? On the back of the polybag, there are 2 cards, and there's a reason why it was one of my giveaways I won. But
Okay. It looks like it is the whole X Force team,
okay,
and then something with a T-shirt.
okay. The reason I entered this last one, which is upstairs, is because it actually came with the Deadpool card. So in my head, I'm thinking clearly the Deadpool card will be the more valuable polybag to own compared to me with the X Force card and the Sunspot and Gideon card. So I'm like, obviously I just took a chance and I won it. So yes, that is a fun addiction to it.
Well, the thing about it though is like I didn't even buy this for me. T's favorite comic book character is Cable. So once he listens to the show, he's gonna find out that I bought this for him, and he'll eventually get this on his birthday.
He won't listen to the show. It's okay.
I'm just praying for you.
I am also, which now because I have a quote unquote better one, I am going to give this away to somewhere down the road, and now hopefully T can sit back because he already has one. Somebody else, because I also have that, and I also have I got a She-Hulk one. I looked at it's from the most current storyline. I just kind of want to just do a little quick little giveaway because of the shows coming out. But yeah,
I'm sorry, I was never much of a comic book like reader per se, but I did have like a lot of Amazing Spider-Mans in that like late 200 to 300 range because Venom's my favorite character. So lately I've been trying to like just acquire some of the older Spider-Man. So like one of the ones I got out of that lot was I got Amazing Spider-Man 200. I won it for $3. I know it's like not worth a ton, but I was like $3 for something from 1978. Like I'll gladly pick that up.
No, yeah, more behind the curtain for me. I was not in the comic books until literally The Dark Knight. And that was my catalyst of like, I'm going to start reading some books because I'm like, and then like I had, because of obviously we were had 90s times of like my uncle got me some comic books. But it sounds funny, but he got me Kmart characters of like Marvel heroes, which they are in the Marvel universe, but like I forgot what his name was, but there is another guy who has kind of like Thor powers, but he has a blonde ponytail. But when you look at it, you're like, this looks like the Kmart version of Thor. And like I think his name's like Thunder Strike or some shit. And like that was my perception of comic books back then until like I just wanted a nice entry point, and like the Dark Knight came out, Wizard magazine was still a thing, and they said, here's your starting point if you want to get into like X-Men, and Uncanny X-Men just hit 500, and that's like that was the kind of the start of my thing. But yeah.
It was a similar thing for me. Like my uncle was into comic books.
I think every uncle is. They're either your uncle is in comic books or he likes to fuck you.
Well, this one never made it past me, thankfully. I actually
same here. No,
like so my uncle. Well, this particular uncle, because I have a couple different uncles, but this particular uncle currently lives out in Colorado, and his comic book collection was at my grandmother's house. But she passed away last year, and like a lot of her stuff got redistributed in the family or thrown out, and he didn't have a good way of transporting his comic books from here back to where he lives cross country. So I actually currently have all of his comic books that are still in the state in my spare bedroom closet, which unfortunately I'm going to have to move here in the next couple weeks because that spare bedroom is no longer going to be spare in a few weeks. It's going to have a resident in it. So I'm going to have to move a bunch of different comic book boxes like of comics from that room probably to my room.
Have you scoped them out and like see if you can if you found like any like real prized possessions?
I haven't gone through it, and like I wouldn't want to chance it. But if there's one particular comic book I want to own, and that's Amazing Spider-Man 300. It's the only one I really care about owning, truthfully. Like I want to have that like graded, and that's the only one I eventually want to get.
What is the Spider-Man 300 cover?
Actually, I have. I could kind of show you. It's basically this, but red.
Oh,
like instead of yellow, it's red.
Yep, that's the one. Okay. You are definitely in the right app of whatnot to be. Everybody and their uncle has a lot of different variants of the 300 Spider-Man variant. There's Miles now on everybody, but yes.
Oh yeah, I've seen all the newer variants, but obviously, like I want that one because it's the first appearance of Venom, which I've stated as my favorite comic book character, so it has like a sentimental value to me.
I'm more Venom, not the black suit. Yes, okay.
Yeah, the black suit came in like 252, I believe.
And then it was that weird controversy one that it 252 came out. But technically, Marvel is saying that the Secret Wars cover one is the first one. It was just delayed, but just dumb.
Yeah, it's like technicalities. For me, when in the Spider-Man storyline, for me, it's 252.
But yeah. Long story short, obviously, usually when I have a guest, it's like a special event. But obviously, we're going to do a regular show and all that fun jazz, and we kind of have a pretty good ice-breaking moment, but what we usually start on the show is what have we been playing or watching? And obviously you're the guest, and I'll start with you, Lunchbox. What have you been playing or watching?
So I did hop on to Call of Duty the other night with some buddies. Before that, I was really into Elden Ring, but I haven't played it in like 6 weeks, and it's not like I was like, I think I just got a little burnt out because I went so hard in the beginning. And then, life got busy and I just haven't gotten back to it. Call of Duty's nice because like I can just hop on randomly because I basically have buddies to play like every day. Right. So if I ever just feel like hopping on, they're pretty much guaranteed I have people to hop on with. And then I watched the first episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi yesterday.
What'd you think of it?
I liked it. Like I find these like movies and these shows they're doing where it's connecting that in between period in the original movies we used to watch. It's like what basically happens, but it's still entertaining to see the finer details within that time frame.
Yeah.
So seeing Kenobi and I guess I'm gonna try and keep this as like spoiler free as possible for your listeners.
Fuck it, you can spoil it because
See,
I'm probably gonna spoil a little bit. I want to try like I'm not gonna go like. I think the one conversation that can be still spoiler and talk about is like the mystery of like spoilers for anybody if they really care, but like the antagonist Riva like is a mystery of like how she knows so much about Obi-Wan. But yeah.
oh, I mean, it's not really a mystery if you're paying attention though. Like she's one of the kids in the Rule 66 or the Order 66 temple. Like she's one of the Jedi's that they're trying to
right
bring out. But then obviously they don't escape. She gets taken in and turned into an Inquisitor.
Yeah, no, but, yeah, I agree because I am also no, I'm a person of like I like the reason I say like that is because that the current thing today on Twitter was the actual Star Wars Twitter handle basically calling out their quote unquote fan base that is really upset about her and they're like there's 200 or 2,000 species in this galaxy. Don't be racist.
Yeah, see that's what I saw on Twitter was people getting uppity because they had a black woman as a main character.
Yeah.
I just don't understand at this point, like, why people are so upset about these things. Like black people don't exist in fantasy worlds. White people be on some bullshit sometimes.
Yeah.
And I say that as a white man.
I've said it for multiple times. Fuck white people, yes. But no, so I also agree that I do like what they are doing with these stories that are in between the movies. And I didn't want to cut you off, and obviously you can continue. But no, I really enjoyed it too, and I'm really impressed with. I like Little Leia. I think because in my head, because I saw other people bitching about that too, but I like it goes. Oh, this is really what connects her to like do the infamous "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." Because obviously she's going to look at him like a fucking superhero because obviously she did like what was happening in the show. So I do like that. And I also like Riva. There is a little bit of like, she's going like full force 80 miles an hour for 2 episodes. Like her, doing what she did in episode 2 at the end and, basically killing her boss. Basically her manager. She killed her own manager. She's like, you ain't going to take my credit.
Yeah.
But like, I think that was a little too soon. Like it could have happened down the road, but again, I do not know the rest of what's going to happen the rest of the story.
She's just so consumed with revenge. Like she feels like Obi-Wan should have been there and he wasn't, and she's just bitter about how her life turned out because of it.
Right.
And now she's just full force. Like this is it's like the only thing she has left to live for is making Obi-Wan pay for not being there to protect her when she was little.
True. No, and I am looking forward to it. I got more upset when I saw that it's only 6 episodes, and we just did 2. I'm like, oh fuck,
I was surprised when I opened the app and found that they'd already dropped 2 episodes. I just assumed because it's going to be a short series that they were only going to release the opening week. But I was happy to see 2. And honestly, after having watched both of them, I feel like the second one was needed because if you had just released that first one, I think it would have upset the pace and the feel of the release a little bit because that first episode was just kind of whatever. I know it was the setup episode, but like if I had to wait another week after that, I don't know like if I would have felt as good about the show as I do now having watched the first 2 episodes.
Right. No. First episode is definitely the old cowboy getting back. I'm put up my gun like that shit. No, but I do think it's also funny. Without knowing any canon stuff in a lot of the other cartoon wise, but I do think it's funny that they put in that he buried his lightsaber, which I think is them trying to touch base to like so that people can like it's like their way to like breadcrumb the sequels instead of the prequels, the sequels to like more onto the good side of like people liking it. Obi-Wan buried his lightsaber; it's a natural thing. That's why Rey did it. But like that, yeah, I'm looking forward to, which obviously we're recording tonight on Tuesday, tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to the next episode. And then with your Call of Duty, when you're playing Call of Duty, is it straight up Call of Duty or are you guys playing Warzone?
Warzone. I've actually so I had like I think it was like Modern Warfare or something. It was whatever one was on like 360 back in the day. I had that, and I never played another Call of Duty ever until like we were on lockdown, and my buddies were like, "Oh, Warzone's free. You should hop on with us." And I was like, "Well, I guess if it's free, I'll see what's up." So I I downloaded it and played a little bit, like I would say the summer of 2020,
Yeah.
but not like they were. They were really into it because obviously they've been playing Call of Duty every game for years. So I would play it sparingly, and I knew it wasn't very good. And then like I don't know, and while like I kind of got addicted to playing with them a little bit, and I started watching people play on Twitch, and I started watching videos on like which guns were good and bad, because that's the other thing too when you're playing the game where everyone else has got all their guns fully leveled out and they have all the attachments and everything, and I'm walking around, and I remember like my buddy is like, "Oh, let's get loadout." And I'm like, well, "Why should I get loadout? I don't even have guns. Why why do I care?" You know. But I wouldn't. I'm not good. I wouldn't say I'm not good at like in the slightest. But I enjoy playing sometimes. There was a rough patch there where the hackers were really killing the spirit of the game.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, like I don't really like Caldera, if I'm being honest. So it's kept me from playing more. Like I was playing like 3-4 times a week there for a while.
My question is, because you're kind of still kind of fairly new to the game, what did you think of that Operation Monarch with the Godzilla and King Kong, if you did play it? Because I've heard that it's been very kind of mixed reviewish to like the other streamers, like Dr. Disrespect and like those Nick Mercs. They're like, man, Warzone's in a bad spot. They've been really playing like Fortnite with the zero build and shit. So I didn't know if like, did you like the Monarch stuff with Godzilla and King Kong as a way to like, oh, that's a cool gimmick?
So I didn't play that mode, but I did watch people play it, and I feel like it did not live up to the hype.
Right.
Like when you advertise Kong versus Godzilla, you're expecting some sort of like interaction with them in the map. Like I felt like there was going to be like every game of Warzone is different, and the drop point shift, the zones are different. Like
Yep.
I was expecting them to be incorporated something like that, but that mode was just straight up. It was the same every time. They didn't really interact unless like you triggered them to shoot a laser beam or throw a rock at somebody. I felt like the costumes that they came up with, the operator skins, those were like probably some of the best that they've released since I've been playing the game. So I thought that was a good addition.
Yeah.
But an entire event, and the best thing you could say is like the operator skins look cool, I feel like is a fail in a lot of ways.
No, I agree in the sense of like, again, I am also just watching it from I'm looking outsider looking in, and when I saw that people are saying you get the most XP for riding a helicopter into King Kong's nuts to like chop, to collect a bunch of XP, I'm like, that might not be a fully roundabout mode to think about. But yeah, and also because I know you watch it, so it's also good to have somebody here to talk about. You did watch Double or Nothing, the AEW pay-per-view.
I did, yes.
And what did you think of it?
So I thought it was an okay show. A couple of the matches I thought were excellent. Like, I didn't really care about the Death Triangle versus House of Black match going in, because part of it is like the feud feels like it's been dragging on for a long time.
Right.
And I thought they already had their blue off spot, but apparently they decided to keep going. But the match itself, I thought came off excellent. The spots, like aside from Brody King almost killing himself doing the dive.
Yes. That is one thing I also noticed with AEW. They do not know when to let a feud go. They have to they have to look for every nook and cranny, like how you said, Death Triangle and House of Black has been going so long, and it's just so rough to watch now because obviously of like, okay, cool, you used it to pop Ray Phoenix back and all that stuff, and like I ain't gonna lie, I don't mind Julia Hart becoming a House of Black. I think it's kind of cool to that's one thing about AEW. I have problems with some of their spotlighting they do, especially now since CM Punk is champ. I have because I think they have a lot more younger stars, and then Maybe they're not do the draws like I watched Tony Khan freak out on that one interviewer who brought up that Eric Bischoff comment. I understand CM Punk is a draw, but I think there's always still some more people that have been there since quote unquote day one that should get some more flowers compared to CM Punk right now.
Are you hinting at MJF right now?
MJF is a big person. I think without exactly, I think he should be holding at least a belt. I think Sammy Guevara and the whole Scorpio Sky and using like the MMA fighters to highlight the TNT belt is a wrong move because I think they've been recalibrating what to do with that belt ever since obviously Brody Lee passed because they had a plan. Obviously, it fucking flipped on its head and all that shit. But I don't like now because like Sammy and them get a little tired because like now what he's won it twice or 3 times. You know what I mean?
It's at least 3 times.
That I'm like out of the whole roster, he's the only guy who has the belt 3 times. You know what I'm saying?
The problem with Sammy is that he keeps fucking changing. He was Inner Circle, then he was a good guy, and then he was back to Inner Circle, and then he was back to being the wholesome, baby face, and then the whole thing with like Ty Conti, I don't think anyone would have given a shit as far as like hating him if like 3 months prior you hadn't made me sit through an episode where like he's in the ring proposing to his like girlfriend of 10 years. Yes. You go from like, oh, this is the love of my life, we've been together for a decade, to by the BT dubs, I've been banging the hot Brazilian this like whole time, and now we're just gonna fucking make out on TV every week.
Right.
So it's like I don't care what people do in their personal lives. That's their own fucking business.
Right.
But it's like you made me, get emotionally attached to you in this way where I'm pulling for you. Like you were the asshole, but now you're the lovable hero that like, I don't particularly care for your look, but as far as the character is concerned, I have a vested interest in you doing well. But now you're telling me that you're just a fucking cheating scumbag and I'm still supposed to cheer for you? It's no wonder people turned on you so fast.
I'm also I think the Sammy thing having the belt for a while is a problem because the first time was good because obviously he deserved it, but like in my eyes, I am a person I like sounds dumb, but like I like Sonny Kiss. I wish she or he or they, I wish they had more like TV time. I think they could have like when it was Sonny and Joey Janela. I think they could have had some weird, maybe it didn't have to be long, but like it could have been like a month little title tag reign before even Jurassic Express got it, just to have something weird. But I also think AEW needs before they got ROH, so I don't know exactly what's going on with that. But I've always said I think they should have had like a dark belt for the YouTube show, at least to have something for a story because they were trying to do storylines with Elevation and. Half the time, that's weird. They're making me.
I see we have a countdown, huh?
Yeah, making me upgrade. I've never had an upgrade on 2. They must be really hurting for some cash. So I got a plan for this after this little 9 minutes thing. I'm gonna send you a Steam another thing.
Okay.
But I'm more pissed off because I've never had it with just 2 people to have a problem. But no, I'm just a big fan of like some of these unnamed people that AEW helped me spotlight at the beginning, and I've seen them there since day one, and they kind of gave up on them.
So I, for a while, had like a similar thought process as you do towards it, but over the last couple of days, the more I've looked at it, the more I've kind of changed my mind about it all. And so I look at it now from the aspect of Tony Khan's family owns the Jaguars and they own that soccer team over in Europe. In football, a lot of the business is churning your roster. Bringing people in, seeing what they got. If they can hang, you keep them. If not, you release them, you find somebody else, and you keep churning the bottom of the roster. People eventually work their way up, elevate, etc. AEW is a lot in that same vein of they started out, they hired who was available, They worked for a while, and then as WWE started releasing people that were better than who they had, they picked them up, and then it's on the people who AEW had hired from the indies to prove that they can hang with WWE, or to learn and get better enough to like want AEW to keep them. And so I was kind of disappointed at times when some people left. I personally, I didn't care that people like Marco Stunt left or Joey Janela. Like, I've seen those guys live in person here and on the indies. Like, we have a really big indie company here called AIW. And so a lot of people on AEW I had already seen live. Like, I seen Britt Baker for years before she was ever in AEW. Yeah, she trained here at AIW with like Johnny Gargano and all of them. They're all from here in Cleveland. Cool. Britt Baker's actually from Pittsburgh, but she came here to AIW to train. So that's a major fed that we have here. So I've seen these people for years. Like, I remember sitting in a gymnasium in Lakewood, Ohio, seeing Britt Baker going, man, if she wanted to be a star, she could. And fucking 3 years later, here she is DMDing it up on TV. So I'm not saying like I'm a talent scout or anything, but it's just like a lot of these people weren't new to me. It's just I didn't think that much of some of them when they were on the indies. Like Joey Janela to me was more of a crash test dummy than a wrestler. Like I didn't think the guy had technical ability enough to be on TV. Like, anyone can fucking jump off a ladder or light themselves on fire, but it takes more than that to like have a television audience, be captivated into what you're doing. And from what I understand, because I'll be honest, I haven't watched Dark in like over a year.
Me neither.
I heard about like the storyline he had with Sonny Kiss. It sounded like it would have been interesting, but his contract ran out, and better people became available. And I saw like fans on the internet giving shit to AEW for like not re-signing these people, but it's not like they released them. Like, they're like, once AEW signs someone, they're not under obligation to continually re-sign them for the duration of their career. If it's a 3-year contract, 3-year contract's up, it takes both parties to want to negotiate another contract. AEW is not obligated to continue to hire people just because you want to belittle WWE for releasing 75 people at a time. So I think I find like internet wrestling community can be a little much at times when it comes to their logic and their outrage. But anyway, to get back to my bigger point, I've grown frustrated at times with AEW's desire to continually sign new people and not use the people they have.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe I need to take a step back on that, in that some of the people they were signing from the indies, maybe it was just timely hires and they're just not necessarily better in this moment than, WWE cast-offs, quote unquote, or Ring of Honor people or anything like that. So as frustrated as I can be, because it seems like they keep bringing people in when there's only a small amount of time to show everybody, I guess I just have to be okay with the fact that they're churning that roster.
I agree, because obviously that does some really good points. I do, though, think it's real odd for how you said they hired another guy who would be another key hot topic on this about that. But like, they had Brian Cage become.
So then recently I read that he's going to be prominently featured on Ring of Honor when they get that up and running soon.
Right. But like, for a person who saw him I think he was the Joker, I think last Double or Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, he came out and then it was only like 2 weeks with the fucking Taz belt, and then like just disappeared. I'm like, I knew that. I think he had a surgery, but I don't know. And then there's also the without knowing exactly what was happening in that office, and that's where the wrestling internet community might make it sound worse than it is. But obviously, how Big Swole left AEW, and she was a little distaste about Tony Khan now, and how this whole MJF thing is going on right now. It's definitely frustrating.
And I think that's what a lot of the people that end up leaving might feel, in that like the company's biggest promise to everyone was like, a chance for people to work through their art and, find their voice and get experience. And like, the reality is there's only so much time available. And they're also trying to maintain a profitable running company that's going to last a long time. They don't necessarily have the time to let, dozens of people figure it out on live TV every week. And some people just, it's sad as it is, are just going to not have the same time afforded them that others might get, and I can see how bitter feelings would crop up from that. Now, the feud that ended up happening on Twitter between her and Tony Khan, that's, maybe some people just need to learn to like either speak privately or not air your dirty laundry out on social media. But, I can understand him feeling the way he felt, but maybe as the guy who runs the place, just not say it, because I wasn't a fan of watching her either. It's not like I don't dislike her as a person or anything, but like the big swole character to me, I just didn't understand it because she doesn't look particularly jacked. So what was it? I just saw a woman dancing around, like that was it. There was nothing more for me there to latch onto. Now, I guess you could say maybe she just wasn't given that time, and that could be fair. But for what I was shown, I just didn't have anything to latch onto. So when she was gone, I was like, okay, there's plenty of other people here that have something more that I'm personally into than what she was offering.
No, yeah, I think it's also just me for when I watched and like she got on there and she was. I think it's the idea, like you said, when the roster was a little smaller, a little bit more time. She also was highlighted for like when they did the Britt Baker versus Big Swole and they fought in the dentist office and all that shit. So like that's the stuff I'm like remembering too. But no, then they got all that stuff. Yes. That boy's got money. He can record to a cloud.
Oh damn.
No, obviously audio wise, you probably don't even notice that much besides me just saying that. But no, with the AEW, obviously, we'll try to more focus back to the pay per view. You said it was okay. I kind of what I've been listening to on through the Twitter and through the grapevine shit. It was an okay pay per view. I heard it was very long, and I've learned because that's because Tony Khan gave bought an extra hour just in case if Dr. Martha Hart wanted to talk longer than she probably did.
Her speech went on for a hot. So I'm going to admit, like, I was kind of out of it watching the show.
Yeah.
I was under the influence. And I'm laying on my couch. My buddy's like in my lazy boy recliner. And I'm laying there and I'm watching this scene take place. And I assumed Adam Cole and Britt Baker were going to win for two reasons. One, they were both wearing pink on their ring attires when their opponents weren't. And secondly, everyone knows in the world that they're a real life couple. So I just assumed that they were going to have the power couple win the awards. But anyway, so they get to the presentation with her speech and everything. And I don't know if they did this to make her feel more comfortable or not, but they bring out this gaudy, giant, brown, like school-looking podium that has no flair on it.
Right.
Like, there's nothing special about it. It's that wood grain shit that we're used to seeing, and it's big, so it's taking up a lot of the shot. And so it's this ugly scene, and then a woman just rambling because she's probably nervous. And she's trying to get out these thoughts and thank all these different people and plug the foundation and all that, which I admittedly to this day, I still don't know what it's for. But she does all these things and it's just dragging because she's stopping to giggle or thank a random person in the crowd for yelling something positive. And she clearly doesn't have a lot of experience handing out fake wrestling belts because it was having a problem unzipping the bag that's holding the belt and then, awkwardly handing it to the wrestler.
Yeah. It's been a minute since she's been in the spotlight. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm laying on the couch and I'm just like, God, they need to be better. Like, someone needs to pull the production's crew aside and be like, look, you need to spice this up a little bit, rehearse with her and get some better aesthetics.
But it is interesting, and also it was kind of like you said, like a duh. Why wouldn't Adam Cole and Britt Baker win? But I'm kind of glad to see, without knowing exactly her what's her feelings after the show? If like she's happy to see, like she gave the green, the green light for them to use Owen's name again and all that stuff. I wonder if
she made it sound like during her speech that the tournament is going to be a yearly thing.
So no, but hopefully she is not doing it reluctantly. Hopefully she likes what they're doing and hope they like the message and all that shit. So like, judging by what they do with Brody Lee, I think they're in good hands. Some of that might feel like a cash grab now, but no, I do glad to see that. What's your thoughts of CM Punk being the champ now? What kind of,
So CM Punk was one of my favorite wrestlers of like the last 15 years. Like for me, I was kind of teetering on my WWE fandom 10 years ago because to bring it all the way back to further explain, my mother's boyfriend watched WWF when I was a small kid, like 4 or 5 years old. So I remember seeing some stuff, like he'd order the pay-per-views and stuff. But that didn't go on for very long because like him and my mom were only together long enough to have like my two brothers, and then they had a falling out. But I remember seeing like Survivor Series matches and Hulk Hogan and stuff. So like I was aware of what I was watching, but I didn't quite understand it all. And then I would watch like Saturday Main Event and stuff by myself. But then my great grandmother passed away the day of the Oklahoma City bombing, and that kind of changed up my routine because I used to go home and she would watch me until like my grandmother got home. And so I ended up having to go to like my other grandparents' house after school, which means like I wasn't around the cable TV like I was prior. So I kind of fell out of wrestling fandom for a couple years. And then when I got into middle school, Stone Cold and the Attitude Era was kicking off, and the Monday Night Wars were raging, and the kids at school were talking about the NWO and all this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh man, I used to watch wrestling. Is Razor Ramon still around? And how's the 1-2-3 Kid doing? And is Hulk Hogan still big? And so like I ended up, turning on Raw the night after Stone Cold beat Shawn Michaels for the title. And I was watching WWE like every week, every show after that. Like I got hooked again.
Yeah.
And then those years, in 2000, we'll say after Brock left WWE, those couple years there were real fucking tough. There was just a lot of people that like were jobber-like, that they were trying to turn into stars, and it just wasn't enjoyable. And I liked rapping Cena, but I did not enjoy I'm superhero and no one can beat me and I'm goody Cena. That really turned off for me.
Do you hate that still now? Because I think he's still kind of that same like never give up shit.
I now as an adult, well, all right, as a more mature man, I can appreciate that he has his place on the show for certain audiences. I'm just aware of the fact that I'm not one of them. but I can appreciate the man's work. So like I don't like dislike him as a person or anything. I have the ability to separate the two. But so my WWE fandom was kind of teetering there because I was entering like my mid-20s, and I wasn't sure if I was going to keep watching because I was like, I got to find maybe a better use of my time here. And then like CM Punk came around, and he had the Straight Edge Society and the Nexus. I was big. I've always been kind of big into groups, and so I was like, the Nexus was kind of shitty, but I still kind of enjoyed it. And then like I was a huge Wyatt family guy, but like when Punk did the pipe bomb promo and then ended up getting the belt, and that just fucking hooked me again, all over again. And I was actually at the Cleveland show that he walked out on and never came back, like the night after the Rumble. I was at that Raw, and he just never came out. I don't have the same like heartbreaking MJF story, of like my hero abandoning me or anything like that. But I was literally at that Raw because it was here in Cleveland the night after the Rumble, when he got chokeslammed through that announce table, and that he apparently came to Cleveland, didn't feel well, got into an argument in the backstage area during the afternoon, and then left and never came back. So I was at that show, and at that point, I didn't know that like he had left. I spent the whole Raw waiting for Punk to come out, and he never came. And then the lawsuits came, and the podcast, and all that. And so when he came back last year, if people ever venture over to our show, they'll find that like I can be an emotional guy. Like I'll cry watching movies, like in
Okay.
theaters. You know, if there's something sad happens, like I'm not afraid to admit that I have an emotional side as a man. And when Punk came back last year,
You teared up?
I teared up because like it was something that I cared so much about. You know, 10
You're
years ago.
you were like that guy that was in the crowd that he praised, like, hey, don't be giving this guy shit. The guy who was, he was
Yeah,
crying, pointing.
yeah. I still have my CM Punk hoodie that I bought when he was, you know, doing the whole, you know, straight edge thing. It's got like the Chicago flag with the fist holding the lightning bolts and shit. I still have that. Like that, I wore that shit all the time. That like I'm never gonna get rid of that thing. It's got like rips on it and the graphics are faded and shit. But like I I was so into that character and it felt like kind of like an escape for me. And then when he came back, I was like, oh man, this is so fucking awesome. But like, I never felt like he needed to win the belt. Him just being there and doing good, you know, programs and being like a bridge for the next generation was all I needed. And then this match coming up, I feel like if he was going to win the belt, Hangman was probably the best possible person. And I say that not to try and disparage Hangman, but his title run for me has been kind of lackluster in that I don't feel anything for it. Like his program with Brian Danielson was real good, but it was short and it was abrupt. Like he wins the title from Kenny, who's we all know is out hurt.
Yeah.
And then he has to go somewhere. But it felt like quickness after quickness. Like he defends against Brian Danielson, and then
Lance Archer.
Yeah, it's a quick ass program with Lance Archer, who like I forget even works there most of the time.
It was
throw him out there.
It was a bloodbath. It was I will appreciate. I think this is yes. This was AEW's first, I think, almost true babyface run on a championship because Kenny kind of converted, and it was great. That's one thing. Jericho
Moxley played the middle line. He was technically a face, but it was he's always kind of like the anti-hero.
He is being a heel to Jack Daniels and Jim Beam. A lot of people outside of the ring. He was having fights outside of the ring with demons. Then luckily he's back now with the AH.
Yeah.
But yes, he was more into. I still, which was not a title run, but right before he did that AA or went to AA, when he came out and just basically did like that weird, he does that weird toss suplex thing, and he did it to Yuta and just fucking dropped him, and it was like a 10-second match. And then he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to AA." I'm like thinking like that must be what he was. He's like, I gotta just get the fuck out of here. I get drunk, and that was a moment. But back to the Adam Page thing. I think also their build up to Adam Page was more hype than his reign because they were hinting he is going to be the one who taps out to the One Wing Angel, and then he goes, "Oh, I'm going to have a kid. Can I be gone for a couple months?" Like Tony's like, "Yeah, we're making this show. Anything coming up to you, Adam Page?" "Oh, nothing." "Oh yeah, I mean, I have a baby in the incubator for fucking 9 months. Don't worry about that." Like he could have given some heads up, and then maybe say, "You know what? Why don't you have your kid? Then we'll push you and have you in this more current year." But yeah.
Well, I think it for me it's two things. One, how fucking relatable is a cowboy in 2022?
When you say cowboy shit, I do like it. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, the phrase cowboy shit is fine, but I'm talking about an actual cowboy. This isn't like the 1950s. We don't have cowboys out here chasing people.
You watch Yellowstone? They have cowboys there.
I've never watched Yellowstone.
That is I'm giving it a joke.
Isn't Yellowstone more ranchers?
But they call themselves cowboys.
Okay.
And they also are. It's basically what would be a MAGA's wet dream of Game of Thrones. It's a white man who owns land, and minorities are trying to get the land, and also then big business is trying to get the land, and he's trying to stick his ground.
Okay, outside of Yellowstone, how relatable in modern culture is a cowboy?
Besides the Dallas Cowboys, nothing.
Yeah. So it's like it's already a character that's starting behind tentpole position in a lot of ways because there's not a lot of relatability to it for most people.
Right.
I know ranches and shit still exist in the Midwest and all that, so I'm sure there's some people out there like, oh, I fucking love this cowboy from Virginia, but I'm not one of them. But I can admit that his program leading up to winning the title was fantastic because it was 2 years of solid storytelling. He's excellent at chasing the belt.
Yeah.
When he finally catches the dragon, I feel like it's like, all right, well, what the fuck do we do now? Because we made him a fucking loser, an alcoholic. It was a redemption story, but now he's redeemed. Where do we go with the redemption? Right. And then it was like, quick program. Oh, I have COVID now. That was part of the thing that I felt like killed the Punk program was it was like Punk. It starts off with Punk just doing the title belt motion. Okay, so now they're feuding because he's doing the title belt motion. Then it's like 2 promos from each of them that are like kind of like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Then we don't get a face-to-face because he's out for 2 weeks with COVID. And then they come back and they do this like heartfelt promo with passion that like I don't quite understand where the passion's coming from because you guys have never really interacted before this. And now, but your match is in 4 days and I'm supposed to like care. So I went into the match feeling like it could literally go either way because like Punk could just be doing it as a way to boost up the champion, or it could be Punk is about to take this belt and then I don't know where the fuck we go from here. Because like I mean the match itself has like some breadcrumbs at the end where it could continue on, but I don't know if it's gonna go that route or they're gonna move on to somebody else. Because that's the thing with AEW. It's like sometimes they continue and it goes for another 3 months, or sometimes it's just a stopping point and then they pick something up. That's one thing that I usually feel they're pretty good about is long-term storytelling. When they do it well, it's very, very good.
Yeah. So, and then also Double or Nothing is definitely, it is one of their, they don't have that many pay-per-views, but what would you put this? Like, is it like a lower tiered version of Double or Nothing, or is there, because for what I've been hearing, because I ain't gonna lie, this was my first pay-per-view. I've watched every single pay-per-view until this last one, every time, never missed one. Mm-hmm. But what I've heard on Twitter sounds like this was a okay one. So obviously it's not pushing the scale up. It's like it just was the middle of the pack compared to a lot of the pay-per-views. There have been other shining moments. I am interested in the Forbidden Door pay-per-view coming up, but yeah.
So my honestly, I think part of it is some of the matches I just don't think very highly of the people involved.
Oh yeah.
As far as like their work. Like, and if I'm being specific, like Jade Cargill, I think Jade Cargill has a tremendous look about her, and I'm not saying that she can't ever eventually be good, but she has admittedly only been doing this for 2 years, and it shows when people miss spots and things are botched and the movements aren't like they don't seem like a reaction. They still seem like someone's thinking about what they're trying to do. Yeah. It comes across on TV, and I'm not someone who's just going to give someone more praise than I think they deserve. I'm not going to try and bury them.
Right.
But I feel like her match was kind of just whatever. I feel like they made Anna Jay look better than I ever thought Anna Jay looked prior to this as far as like a believable wrestler. But the match itself still was sloppy. And yeah, granted it had, 2 debuts to kind of prop it up at the end, but that was a match going into it with me knowing Cargill's involved, going, okay, it's going to be a fucking squash match probably, and she's going to walk out and it's whatever, So I go into it with that mindset. And then, like I said, there were matches that were clearly just fucking thrown on last minute, like the Darby Allin versus
the Red Dragon guy.
Yeah.
Kyle
O'Reilly. Yeah. So it's just like, all right, I guess I'm supposed to care about this because he broke, quote unquote, Sting's ankle 3 days ago. And then the Death Triangle match that we talked about earlier, that was kind of just thrown on there, even though, because like I said earlier, I thought they'd already done that. So I'm going into it like, why are we doing this again? And then like I said, the Punk Hangman match felt kind of rushed, and then the COVID kind of ruined the build up a little bit. So that was going into kind of like whatever. Then you had the whole MJF drama hanging over the whole pay per view going into it the day of. You didn't know if he was going to show up, and if he did show up, what the fuck was going to happen. That ended up being a fucking squash match where he just gets powerbombed 12 times and leaves. So like that was kind of one sided. That was like a fart noise to start the show.
I didn't know that Wardlow was not AEW All Elite until then.
I mean, it's just a storyline thing. He's worked for the company the whole time.
No, I know, but like this, I didn't even when Tony Khan did his tweet says Wardlow's All Elite. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this motherfucker's been there for years right now. He has the brass ring of, or he won the brass ring this year.
Isn't it amazing that storyline wise that MJF was able to get a contract worker of his own to wrestle for a company, and the company had like no say in it, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, with this guy doesn't work here, he can't wrestle. Like, MJF's like, whatever, like that's the believability of it all. But yeah, so like my favorite pay-per-view they did was All Out last year, where like Punk's debut and Daniel Bryanson debuting at the end, and Adam Cole and all that. To me, that was a perfect pay-per-view.
I agree, because I think that was the one with the cage match too, with the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think so. With the tax on the shoes and everything.
Yep.
So like to me, that pay-per-view was just all hits. It had debuts, it had great matches, it had like nice pacing. Like to me, that was the best pay-per-view they've done throughout the entire duration of their company so far. The pay-per-view, this one, to me, had a lot about it that felt kind of off. And it was very long. Like the main event started East Coast time at like 12:15.
Yeah.
And like so the thing that kills me about Tony Khan sometimes, and I've never met the man. To him, I'm nobody. I'm the buzzing of flies to him. I listen to him speak, and that dude needs to learn another fucking adjective. Not everything is great. You can use a different word. But sometimes when someone asks him a simple ass question, he has this problem of getting off on tangents, and he ends up talking for like 4 minutes, and you're like, I asked you about this, and now you're over here talking about that. Like, just get to the fucking point. And he had been asked a question about like, why did this shit go so long? And he starts rambling about Dana White and UFC pay-per-views and NBA playoffs, and
he doesn't take criticism well.
Exactly.
As a new owner yet. You could I think Vince would be dead if he read his tweets, if he read Twitter for if anybody had an opinion about him already. Mm-hmm. Tony is very, give it credit to where he is. He is very passionate. So I guess that's good to have an owner with passion, but also like his passion goes into, then you can't, as a media person, you can't get no information out of him because he'll go into, if you said it wrong, he gets offended or something, and he'll just go onto a tangent like you said. So, but yeah.
But yeah, they basically asked him like, why was this shit so fucking long? And he started rambling about like NBA playoff game 7s and wanting the main event to be on after the game 7 would be over. And like, I listened to it and I'm like, what the fuck would that matter? Like, if I'm the average wrestling fan,
you think you're going to get NBA people to watch a pay-per-view after watching a free, like basically a free show?
But like, I'm not going to drop $50 just to watch the main event.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm spending the $50, I'm not putting on fucking game 7. I'm going to be here from the beginning.
Yeah.
You starting the main event at 12:15 is not going to get me to spend $50 on the show, my guy.
Right.
All you're doing is making those of us that want to be here fucking tired.
Yeah. but yeah, I guess it's the summer of Punk, how AEW has stated in their Twitter. Without me going that far into it, I don't have a real true connection to Punk like a lot of people. I watched the Attitude Era and then I just stopped. I did never watch that Ruthless Aggression. I think it's called Ruthless Aggression. The one with obviously, if I saw John Cena, I'm pretty confident I saw before when he was still Prototype or some shit that was ever called.
That's what he was in Ohio Valley
and
Wrestling.
all that thing would be. So I've looked at Punk from his debut on AEW, and I guess I can't admit. I can at least admit he has been improving more in the ring since his debut back into the ring.
He did.
So I'll give him that.
Did you see any of the clips from the pay-per-view the other night?
Yeah.
So did you see the botched buckshot lariats that he attempted?
Punk?
Yeah.
I did not see Punk do the buckshot lariat. No.
So he tried it twice. He botched it the first time, then they set it up a second time, and then he botched it again. So he went to do the flip over into the ring, and when he landed, he fell backwards both times. He couldn't keep his balance and momentum enough to move forward and actually do the clothesline. He would land and then fall on his ass.
That's a young man's move. I
Yep.
couldn't. That's woo. I could only imagine because but I guess Tony Khan does have a point. He is one of the big major draws, and then seeing that he is the title holder, it's making me definitely I'll watch it tomorrow night and see what's happening, the aftermath and all that stuff. But woo, let's try and push through some news while we're here and while we had some technical fucking problems. But oh yeah, I didn't even get to fucking what I've been playing. Long story short, I've been playing Destiny 2 a little bit because of the new season started, Season of the Hunted, which also gives us a new play area of we get to go to a spooky version of the Leviathan raid that's been gone for a couple of almost a year since they've been doing these weird alternate updates of themselves. And then I'm just more quickly just double checking. And then also, I guess for another comment, since it's been a while, I tried the free Battle Royale Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. It seems okay. I think it's also it's having a problem of you are cross-playing with PC players, so they have a better peripherals and controllers compared to a console player, because if you want to play the game and get a real match, you have to be cross-play because there's few and far between people playing on console only. And then also, I tried the Evil Dead game. It's okay. I'm still going to try to play a little bit more of it. My kid likes it in the sense of watching me play it because he is a 5-year-old little hellspawn that likes to watch that shit. But yeah, that's basically me for playing wise, at least talk about today. But yeah, for news wise, we'll get into I know I miss hey, Starfield Redfall is delayed until next year. It does suck. I know that you're an Xbox guy. Were you expecting Redfall and at least, or maybe Starfield? Were you looking forward to buying those this year, or at least get them on your Game Pass subscription?
Honestly, the only game that I have to admit, I'm a terrible Xbox owner. I bought Xbox because I wanted to play Halo.
Yeah.
And then I haven't even been playing Halo. I even went out and bought the disc because it was on sale. So I have the Steelbook and everything. And I don't know anything that's coming out. I feel like for Xbox, I feel like I should, but I don't.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. That's where the people who would be having shows prior, they were like, what do they have coming down the pipe, since the 2 big games that they were promoting, it was delayed till next year. So it's been kind of a mystery for a Xbox centric IP party game, what's coming up next. They do have their 90-minute showcase coming in maybe a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks. So obviously that people are hoping it will give you guys a surprise. Maybe they had something close to the chest and say, hey, we actually do have a game for you this year. Boom, here it is. Because they have people are saying it might be something from the Wasteland 3 developers. And so that's here nor there. And also, just more so, it doesn't look like I'm ducking and dodging. Obviously, yeah, I missed out on the Jim Ryan being a tasteless prick and putting an email out talking about, hey, respect people's opinions about Roe v. Wade. That's me talk about my cats in the email for some fucking reason. That was kind of dumb. That's
I feel like a lot of newer games flop more than they hit, it seems. And I don't know if it's like I feel like that because games seem to get put onto sale like right after they release. It's like they're out for like a month or two, and then it's like, oh, now $39.99, and then within a couple months they're like $19.99. I'm like, is this just the way the gaming industry moves now, or do all these games just actually suck and we're just trying to clear out product?
I think it's a little bit of COVID, a little bit of it's kind of like how the internet happened. So before then, when you were like a console player, you were kind of used, and we are still kind of what I'm going to say. You're kind of used to a set sales, and like here comes a special sale, this and that. But now you see that like PC gaming, that thing is on pre-order on a sale. You can like, hey, you want to get like Gotham Knights, which is coming out later this year.
I did see promotional stuff for that, so
you've
got me there.
You can get the PC version of that for already like $47.
Yeah, I think I saw like a collector's box or something, and then I think they released
I almost wanted to pre-order that, but obviously I think $300 is a little crazy for. I really wanted it real bad.
Did they make like a special console too?
Not to my knowledge yet. But they have the collector's edition comes with a big 4-piece, not 4-piece, but has all 4 character statue, authentic map and all that, like, and gives you the whole deluxe edition shit. But no, it's very more interesting about how you think of like that. Cause also like, I think it's just because I think we're in a really, it's been a kind of a little bit of dry spot. Like I said, I've just been playing some free to play shit and or like a AA game, Evil Dead, which is another it relies on multiplayer. It's been
I saw people on Twitch when they were promoting that, like they were doing sponsored streams.
Yeah.
So I saw a little bit of that gameplay. I never played the originals. Like if you go on my profile, you'll probably see like achievements for it. But it wasn't me. It was my brother borrowing my Xbox. So I have personally never played Evil Dead or Left 4 Dead. I mean,
Left 4 Dead.
Yeah,
I would say this Evil Dead is obviously it's a 4 versus 1 type of multiplayer where one guy is the demon master and he makes like problems while on your map, and you work with 4 people or 3 other people, and you go collect 3 pieces of a map. Then you have to go collect a dagger and another piece, and then it kind of opens up like you have to protect the book from the Ash from the Evil Dead show.
Okay,
that movie, excuse me. But yeah, it's okay. It has some weird difficulty spikes for these weird single player missions that have no checkpoints. So if you die, you have to start off from the goddamn mission could be 20 minutes, and then if you die right at the end, you have to start it again. I'm like, oh, just to get skins if you want.
But that was one of the frustrating things about Elden Ring, was trying to do like a long, difficult dungeon and then dying on something that takes forever to get through. That's the one thing about video games that can frustrate me to where I take a break. And I might even be, now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably why I took a break this last time, because I was going through Marden Castle, and I just got the spell where like you can shapeshift into like statues and shit. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together that I was supposed to shapeshift into a statue to get by the one spinny blade guy. And he killed me. And I never went back after that because I was so frustrated. I didn't want to have to do all the hallways and shit again. Yeah. So I know me. What'll happen is at some point in the next 6 months, I'll get bored, probably on a vacation or something. I'll pop it back in, and then I'll just play it incessantly again until I beat all the way through it.
But yeah, besides that was about basically me. And then let's fire through some of this news and see where we do. But obviously, Sony revealed some new TV news. Obviously, we need game news, but obviously that's going to happen this Thursday with a state of play, which I think I'll just do two fucking news stories together. Obviously, the state of play is going to be this Thursday, and it seems to be focused on third party and the PSVR 2 games, possibly details. More will come obviously Thursday. And then obviously Sony revealed some TV news with there's going to be a Horizon show on Netflix, and they already are working on a Gran Turismo TV show that's in the works, as well as the God of War for Amazon show that has been kind of hinted at.
That one's got my interest.
Yes, I think that one, without knowing what kind of budget the Netflix Horizon show would be if it's live action, because like that's some big money to have big old giant robotic dinosaurs. But the God of War one feels like a no brainer. They've been what 2018 did to the story wise. That's definitely can be more.
Was that the game where they introduced his son?
Yep.
All right, because I haven't played God of War since like God of War 3, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't own a PlayStation, and but I enjoyed those games like when I did play them.
And then also like it goes into like there's a Twisted Metal show being worked on too, but we'll see where that heads. Obviously, there's no real details about dates, but it just seems interesting to see that them how the Woo say they're diversifying their bonds into different things. So that's always cool.
I mean, I keep all my money at Woo Financial.
Woo Financial, of course. And then speaking about financials, EA is looking for a buyer. They tried to get NBC/Universal to take their deal, but they said no, or like they haven't responded. But out of like because of this how basic COVID, again another the straight killer of this whole thing has been making the video game industry consolidate so much. Would you want EA to go under one of the umbrellas of either Xbox or PlayStation, or do you think you'd rather see like a third party financial group grab them so they can stay?
I feel like that's the kind of company that should probably stay third party. I just know that there's so many different people on all the platforms that play like FIFA and games like that I feel like it should be across everything and not just exclusive.
I'm very interested to see. I'm very interested to see why EA is trying to, because I thought they were doing okay. Of course, everyone can always do better, but I feel even if, without me knowing exactly everybody, I think everybody's biggest fear would be if PlayStation got it, it'd be really exclusive. But judging by what is going on with Destiny or Bungie, because they bought Bungie, and Bungie said we're going to stay doing third parties, obviously support and all that work. Their next game is third party and all that blah blah blah. I wonder if EA. I think it'd still be safe if PlayStation bought EA, because I think they'd still be one of those that weird window of like, yeah, we're gonna be third party, or at least everything we've known about EA, Madden, FIFA, they're all gonna be still third parties and all this stuff, but they might have now some exclusive games coming to PlayStation. So I guess that's a way to look at it. I don't think if EA got bought by anybody, I don't think nobody's going to miss out on Madden. No one's going to miss out on any sports games or even Battlefield, in my opinion.
Do people play that?
Battlefield?
Yeah.
Not this new one.
Because I had talked earlier about how I watched some people play Call of Duty on Twitch and whatnot. And I remember when Battlefield came out, because that was during one of the periods where Call of Duty was kind of in a rough patch. They were all super hyped to get on there and try it. And I remember watching them play, and that only lasted a couple of days, and then they were right back on Call of Duty. And I know part of that's probably because they have to protect their own bottom line, because more people want to watch Call of Duty than Battlefield. But the mechanics and everything, I just didn't see the appeal in it.
Without me being that in depth into it, all I've heard from a news YouTuber is basically it sounds like EA keeps shooting themselves in their own foot of how to handle Battlefield. One side of the EA wants it to become free to play. The other side doesn't. They still think it can be used as a lucrative thing to making people pay for it. They had some weird leveling up systems, like for like to get certain things. Some one step forward, two step backward shit of like even compared to the World War II version, which was either Battlefield 1 or 5. This 2042 seemed like it went backwards in some progressional stuff. But yeah. And then we'll speak about Call of Duty. Just more again. They just did they did their usual they're starting to do their ad campaigns. They had some boat. It looked like the boat that got stuck in the canal in Panama with the picture of the Call of Duty's new cover art for Modern Warfare 2 on the top, like you can see it from the top of the, like off a helicopter. And they said it's going to come out October 28th. And it's obviously Infinity Ward's turn to get back into the Call of Duty again. So people are looking forward to that since people really like that Modern Warfare 2 years back. Yeah, 2 years back. And then one thing to also just more promote, I thought it was kind of cool, is the Ravensoft Studio, which is obviously one of the many cogs of the machine that makes Call of Duty now. Their QA department is trying to set up a union, and it will be the first U.S. Union for a game developer inside, like one of the biggest studios. So I thought that's kind of cool. I think at this moment in time they got the green light to say, yeah, you can get a union, and now they're working on negotiations. So that's kind of cool.
Probably overdue in the gaming industry, honestly. For those that believe in unions, I know not everyone does, and I'm personally kind of on the fence in some regards. I can understand how unions can be valuable, but I think unions are also corruptible, just like most organizations. And part of it too is when my dad needed a union, they weren't there for him. So there's some bitter feelings in my own family towards unions, but I could see how, for a place that's had like a lot of negative press come out about its working conditions, that maybe like just fuck it, throw a union at it and see if that helps. Can't get worse, right?
Right. I also do think it's interesting. It's only in the QA department, so this is just the quality assurance people. So I mean, I don't know what that. I'm assuming quality assurance means, are they the ones doing the final play testing for bugs? Are they, you know what I mean? So does this mean
that's what I took it as?
So I would read it as also then, how you said, there is a double-edged sword of if this union is a good union or a bad union. This could also slow down our stuff coming out, because then they're going by unionized. Yeah, you only have to work X amount, so obviously it slows down like quality ensuring shit coming out. It could also make shit buggy because they have to have a deadline too. So who knows? Mm-hmm. You're also, again, you're talking to, obviously I know you're in Ohio, but obviously I'm in Michigan, in the sense of I've heard nightmares of how the autos unions are for the people, but also you could have I've heard a buddy clock yourself in and you're not even at the fucking place, and like that shit for union wise, like some weird stuff. Like you could
the auto union was what did not help my dad. My dad worked for a local automaker. I don't know how much of his personal business my dad would appreciate me putting on the internet, but yeah, there was a car manufacturer, and my dad had a heart attack, and rather than fight for him, because my dad wanted to return to work, the company didn't want him to come back to work, and they basically forced my dad into early retirement. So that's kind of just what went on with that, and why like my dad has a kind of fuck you towards unions. But we recently here, we had a Starbucks in our downtown. I guess they have like 9 or 10 employees, and all of the employees voted to form a union. So I think it was like the first Starbucks where they like are pursuing that, if I read the article correctly. So I feel like the union craze is going to be coming in more full force. Like that's one thing I think that came out of COVID was people wanting to fight more for workers' rights than prior.
Oh yeah, it definitely more also spotlighted the bullshit of like these companies spending millions into skyscrapers or like places for people to go to work and to find out that they can do the work at home, and now they're just more upset that the people at home can figure out, but they can do their job so efficient in a way that it could be like, oh yeah, you used to go to your job for 8 hours, and now they're realizing, oh, you got your job done in 3, and then you're at home. They're like just pissed off. They're like, God. But
I can't imagine right now, like if I still had to go drive to an office every day with how rapidly gas prices are rising. Like gas around here, like on Saturday was like $4.50 a gallon.
Ours just went up, like not us like that, but like around here right now it's up to $4.60, but it just happened right after this holiday.
Yeah, like I haven't put gas in my car in 2 months. Like, and I'm not saying like in some ways that's kind of cool and in some ways that's kind of sad, but like a lot of the things that I deal with in my everyday life are like within a couple mile radius of my house. Whereas like if I still had to drive to an office, that was me driving downtown every day and back. That was a lot of where my gas expenditure was driving to work. So I like people fighting for better working conditions. I'm all for it because it certainly helped me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, congrats to the Ravensoft QA team. Obviously, we'll see how that goes. I hope it could be a movement for everybody. But yeah.
They need a round of applause after finally getting an anti-cheat into a game after 2 years of it just being fucking overrun with hackers.
Pats on backs for everybody.
Yeah.
But and then obviously for a final thing of like this, we obviously talked about Obi-Wan, but with that premiere, it came out today, is the most streamed thing on Disney now. So that's feels kind of surprising, but also at the same time not surprising. But when the premiere happened, apparently that was like Star Wars Day again, and they dropped a bunch of news like the new Star Wars game, the sequel for Jedi Fallen Order was revealed, had a CG trailer. It's also going to be called Jedi Survivor. It is set 5 years after the first one, and fans are theorizing the story since 5 years progression from Fallen Order is basically he is happening at the same timeline as Obi-Wan's TV show timeline. So that's also interesting, and also Vision, that anime Star Wars show, is getting season 2, and also at this fan fest, some footage was leaked, but they showed a scene from Ahsoka. I think that's how they say it. Yeah, that not hinted, but it basically revealed that the Star Wars Rebels crew of that whatever that fighter crew is going to be in live action form in that show. Back to the Jedi Survivor. Did you ever play the first one?
No, the last Star Wars game I played was on the original Xbox.
Which one? Republic Commandos?
Is that the one where you're like a Jedi running around?
Nope. The Republic Commandos is you're a clone trooper in a squad. You control a squad.
Okay, it wasn't that. It was like you're a Jedi, you're running around.
Jedi, I remember like probably Outcast.
Something like that. I remember like running through like a construction yard and stuff.
Those are back on. You can buy those on your Xbox right now. Well, yes, I think, because I'm also little on PlayStation. It's a brand new thing. Like, hey, for $10 you can play the game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I know on Xbox is, hey, you own a disc, you slip that baby in, you can play it. So I'll give you that. But I would suggest you should try out that Fallen Order. It's not that bad. It's from Respawn, the guys who do Titanfall. Mm-hmm. If you haven't even seen, or you have probably, do you have any recollection about it?
My buddy, I think, played it a couple of years ago. He used to tell me about it all the time.
It obviously has the redhead from Shameless, the gay guy. He's the protagonist. Mm-hmm. And then obviously it fans out the Inquisitors from Obi-Wan, that's where we met the second sister and the ninth sister. Obviously, Reva is the third one from the TV show, but it shows the whole board, like it starts that whole thing. But it's pretty good, and I will not. People said it had Dark Soulish combat, so I think it might be up your alley. Of course, it's not. I don't think it's as tough as a Dark Souls, but it does have those same feels of like the dodging that all matters and stuff. So I think it might be up your alley. And it's also obviously I know it's probably cheap now, but also it's not long. And it's also not short. So it's like that good playing, like a nice little palate cleanser to get you back into something gaming too.
Isn't was Battlefront like their main franchise for that recently?
Battlefront 2 came out around the same time as Fallen Order, and obviously EA did both these games, but Battlefront 2 had that really sloppy launch, and they've rebuilt and did better. But also
that was the game that had the online multiplayer, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's what my buddy used to play all the time. I think he used to talk about going on there and trying to like farm loot and stuff.
Oh, okay. No, this is a single player game. I think it's
okay.
And no, I'd check it out. It's really good. But yeah, it's cool to see. In my opinion, I like everything that Disney has been doing with Star Wars. So actually, we touch base what we've already talked about. But I'm looking forward to Jedi Survivors because I did like the first game, and also like we said before, I'm looking forward to anything that comes out of Disney and Star Wars together. Just like Disney and Marvel Disney is definitely had a rocky start with Star Wars, but I think they're getting their footing and understanding to probably just leave it to Dave Filoni and Favreau.
I find it interesting that they're pivoting away from movies to focus mainly on streaming shows.
You know that the next trilogy is kind of already not set, but like they also announced that the guy who directs Thor Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, the Taki.
Yeah, Takiki Wata, whatever his name is.
His Star Wars movie is the next one in line to be coming out.
Yeah, aren't they going back to like Old Republic or something?
I think so.
It's supposed to be like the Star Wars universe, but like 1,000 years before Darth Vader, essentially.
Yeah. I'm a big person of if they can get away from the Skywalkers, awesome. So at least we can have some different stories coming out of that goddamn universe besides Skywalker or seeing people on the internet get mad because there's a person of color being spotlighted. But yeah. But yeah, we did it. We got there. We got to the end. Obviously, I think it's been really fun. Again, I want to thank you for coming on. We're not finished, but yes. But thank you, Lunchbox, for also dealing with this little hurdle we just did to get this recording going, or midway.
I mean, the people listening don't have to know.
They don't have to know. They don't really have to know.
They don't have to know the trials and tribulations and the lengths that we went through to bring them this.
If they know me, if this is going to obviously come out, but if any other time, if I had a 40-minute fucking time limit, you probably wouldn't even know when it happened. I probably wouldn't even put it out. I'd probably jumped off the cliff. Be like, fuck it, I'm out. But no, I thank you for coming on. And of course, also we're gonna leave like we do with hot picks. And obviously for this show, I do movies, one music track, one movie or TV show, and then also one. I try to give people a bunch of number one comics to go check out that's coming out tomorrow. We'll start off with music, and if of course, did you possibly look up anything you want to give anybody a hot pick to?
So I wasn't quite sure based on the timeline you wanted, but I figured I would tell people to go listen to Olivia Rodrigo, Happy for You.
Oh, okay. There you go. My number one, or not my number one, my music pick is Kendrick Lamar's Mother I Sober. Again, is another one of those ones that I didn't have a recording out. I think that album is really good. I think it's also, it's one of those weird ones like people, and I said at the beginning of when it first came out, it's not his number one album, but it is the most important album because of what he breaks down in those songs. But yeah, and then for movie and TV, I was gonna say Obi-Wan, but also I'm just gonna do a quick switch up because of we kind of highlighted it, so I think people will understand it is a hot pick. But I want people to go check out that Chippendales Rescue Rangers.
That's literally what I was gonna say. That movie is fucking gas.
It is. It's way better than it needs to be.
It's like Disney's version of Ready Player One.
Yes, it is based. Yes, this generation's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Everything you can. It is like I said, way better than it needs to. It even has Batman. It has things that are not even Disney that they even mentioned.
Go in there, like even if you don't care about Chippendale Rescue Rangers one iota, go watch that movie just for the references and the Easter eggs and everything. You'll have so much fun just poking that, looking for those. It'd be like a hour and 20-minute Where's Waldo for you. But the movie itself, pretty good. I highly recommend.
And then also, while I'm looking at my little list, I don't know if you did have a comic book. You didn't have to.
I did not.
Well, good, because I'm going to ask you then, give us a hot whatnot auctioneer that you follow that you like. He or she he brings out a good show. And I just want to give a little pat on the back on an auctioneer.
All right, give me 1 second just so I can get the name right.
While you get the name, I'll just start firing off from Behemoth Comics. Neverender #1 comes out on from Boom Studios. I want to just double check. So I like just saying all their names. Nope, just second printing, so that don't count for my thing I do. And then we'll go down to DC. DC it's a lot of annual #1s are coming out. Action Comics, Batman's annual, Batman Beyond the White Knight Showcase Edition #1. Another one shot, Justice League Road to Dark Crisis. So I think it's kind of like their build up to get into Dark Crisis, which is a really cool sounding event that's going to start this summer. And then we'll go down to Marvel real quick. Image. Image has Closet #1. I'm not going to say that because I don't know how to say that well. I don't want to fuck it up. Super Freaks #1. And then Marvel for #1s. To me, it looks like nothing in particular that are #1s. But if you want something that's kind of cool, they have a Moon Knight #1, which they call a facsimile edition. So they basically are bringing out a reissue of the original first issue of Moon Knight's first showcase. They did it once with Werewolf by Night, and obviously instead of saying 40 cents, it says $3.99 because obviously it's going to be $3.99 at stores, but it will look like the original issue from the 80s. I thought that's kind of cool. So yeah, back to you. Did you have an auctioneer? Or you want to at least give a pats on the back?
Yeah. So this is a married couple, and I've gotten a lot of loose figures from them. I'm actually I've been playing with one in my hand, like kind of like a fidget spinner type thing here for the last like 10 minutes. It's a Genghis Frog from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1989. I got this off them for $1. And their vintage _toys _express. I got a lot of Ghostbusters Lucy's from them. They're all in pretty good shape. They did like a Street Shark auction the other day. I highly recommend them. Like their auction, their streams could be a little like uncoordinated sometimes because it's like the wife's yelling in the background and the husband's flustered and he says the word guys a lot. So don't do a drinking game to him saying, guys, you'll poison your liver by the end of their stream. But they usually have like themed shows, good variety, good prices. I highly recommend them. They ship fast.
What's shipping for toys there?
So an action figure, part of it's location based. So like if they're closer to me, the first action figure was $4. But did you see recently that Whatnot put out an email that they were adjusting their shipping costs? And then I got an email today that said they were inputting one-on-one direct messaging with sellers.
Oh, really? I didn't. I saw that I can send you a message. I saw, but also I don't know. I correct how I say that. It looked like I could make through my list of people I could chat with. I never technically typed in Lunchbox, so I don't know if I can. But I was gonna. But the reason I say that because the comic books, one comic book is $4 to ship through them, and then obviously another cool gimmick is if you buy another thing from the seller, it's only $1 add-on to your shipping.
So yeah, that's the way it was. I actually have the email here. I can read it if you want. So starting on May 31st, Whatnot will charge new shipping prices for live stream orders to more accurately reflect standard market shipping costs. This includes lowering the shipping price to less than $1 for additional orders on low weight items, e.g. single cards, Legos, pins. This means that your multi-order shipments for low weight items will be cheaper than before.
Okay.
New live stream prices. Shipping prices for your first order on a stream will start at $4. Cost for the first order will vary based on weight. So that's where the baseline is $4, but it can be more depending on weight. Shipping prices for additional purchases after the first item in the stream will no longer be $1, but instead will be based on the weight of the additional order. Shipping prices for additional orders will now start at 25 cents and then will be based on weight going up. That starts today.
Well,
today being May 31st, whenever whoever's listening to this listens to it.
You know what? People love hearing the fine prints of these cool auction things. No, that's interesting because that makes me interested of going into one and see what buying 2 comics from one guy is. So we'll see that down the road. But again, thank you, Lunchbox, for coming on. Will you please tell the people where they can find you?
I would say to not necessarily look for me directly, but look for me as a collective. The Stays Crunchy and Milk podcast, available on all podcast outlets. Our man T, who basically runs the place, he's pretty good at making sure all that's handled. You can follow us on Twitter at Skimpod, SKIMPOD. And then we also have an Instagram. I don't know the handle off the top of my head. It's probably like Stays Crunchy and Milk. If you really want to see the pictures of the show art T puts out. I'm sure it's linked on the Twitter for those who want to deep dive. But yeah, that's where you can find us. If you really want to follow me, I'm Lunchbox2099 on basically every platform ever. I've been riding that handle for about 20 years now. It's mine. I trademarked it.
But yeah, of course, yeah. Listen to Stay Crunchy Milk. Lunchbox had a lot of say into the name, but no. And again, thank you. And of course, I'd like to. You have an open invitation to do this again, and hopefully, I can be more controlled. If you like doing this, obviously, yeah, because I'm in the hunt of. I think for my show, I did 80 episodes single-handed, like by myself. But I think I'm getting into this was really cool, and obviously you do a really good job, even on the just riffing and just going on, and that's great. And
I appreciate the compliments. You really know how to make a boy feel special.
Yeah. I didn't even get to because of like the whole husband, like the reason like I got you on here because obviously also like as you can hear and how he also is in all the same kind of stuff. We are kind of weirdly like the two sides of the same coin. Obviously, he had a little bit rougher childhood. That's on a different conversation of like than me, but obviously like he is also like a little introvert. I'm introvert. Like a lot of stuff we've been falling. I listened to and then I've talked to T and I've said shit to T and like what I mean. Him and Chalfie and them sound like we've been we're almost like cut from the same cloth and all that fun jazz. So yeah, thank you for coming on, man.
You're making it seem like our shows are like parallel, like kind of in Seinfeld where they had the episode.
Or not like shows. I'm talking about us as humans, and I forgot my joke I said to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I said like
when I say shows, I mean collective crews."
Oh yeah.
So like, and there was that Seinfeld episode where like there was like the Bizarro copies of like Jerry and everybody, and they kind of met up. That's kind of us. Yes. Like you and I are like we're the Bizarro copies of each other.
Yes. You have friends that will use your whatnot referral code. I don't. Fuck you, Delvin. Fuck you, Shelby.
They used the code, but then like neither of them bought anything. I had one friend buy stuff, and that was an addiction thing for him.
You don't. I have 2 pending things. I keep looking. I'm like, maybe one day somebody will use their free $10 and just hit a button.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever got my $10 is after I made an account for my fiance and just bought something with my own debit card, but then I got $10 back. but yes, again, thank you. And yeah, you guys can all know where to find me at MikeFowler93 on Twitter. And obviously you'll see links. I'll even, but yeah, thank you guys for the night. And obviously I know it's been a minute, but also hopefully you guys enjoy it. It's been obviously a pretty cool conversation. Obviously nothing better than instead of me talking to myself for nothing. But yeah, hopefully this can continue. I can catch you next week. You guys be good to each other, like we say every end of every episode. And peace.